BoardGameManiacs. Thanks for joining for another Painting with the Maniac series, and we are concentrating on none other than Trench Crusade. Something about this miniature, I love the pose, I love the look of them, and so forth. So I did print this miniature off on my own Aladu Mars Pro. The original base size is 32 millimeters, and that is in the instructions or the rule book itself, and you can check that out at trenchcrusade.com. What I like to do, I want to sit him a little up further in the base. You can see I put marks there because that's where I want him to stand. I scraped off where he places feet. So we're going to use this to add the clumping and everything into it. PVA glue, the old brush. I like doing it this way because I am not sure what I'm doing to the base, to be honest, yet. So, and I don't want it to be stuck in any way, shape, or form that I'm forced in some way or I have to remove it. Good option that you could do for the base is paint the base color of your main terrain before you put this stuff onto it, because that way if any of this pulls off, you're going to see the color of the terrain underneath, not the color of the black base. No professional. I just do this because I love doing it. I'm not a professional painting miniatures, so you can take this or leave it, totally up to you. So there we go. That is for the base so far. And when that's dry, we'll be back. Continue on making the base while that's drying. Piece of, you can get it from the dollar store. That is going to be a good thing to use. Some pink insulation foam. This is to help create like some larger rocks. Take some cheap old super glue now. Drop somewhere we're going to put the wood. I cleared a little bit of spots here that you can see for the wood. I'm going to combine it with a little bit of baking soda. Just so we know where we're at. Stick him on there. Now we're going to use a little bit of this and put it on that. You can see a little bit of super glue. And yes, I am aware that the super glue will melt the foam. What's going to be left behind is going to be more of a harder shell, and it's going to look more realistic. You can rip it up even smaller if you want to. It's a good to be a mix. It's looking pretty good. PVA and water mix again, and we're just sealing over the foam parts. May destroy the brush if you don't have the glue set. I'm just going over the whole thing just to seal it in more again. You don't want any of this stuff moving around. Same with the wood. You can put some watered down PVA glue on the wood too. While the base is drying, we are going to do some airbrushing. I'm going to be using Air Prime. We're going to do an undertone of purple, a very watered down purple. Going to be using speed paint purple swarm, and it's going to be mixed in with the spray paint medium, and we're looking at roughly a mixture of 3:1, 3 medium to 1 paint, because it's going to take down like a spattery look, creating like an undertone of the dotted purple, so that when this dries and we put the ink onto it for the other paint, it's going to show up a lot more. You can see there I got it. It's very speckle. You can do the same thing with a brush if you want, and just speckling it all over, because you want to get a bunch of them dots to create this. So let's go back and start doing the rest of the painting since the base is done. And for the base, just airbrush black on it. So the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to add some texture. For the texture, we're using Armageddon Dust. It's an older Citadel product. I don't even know if they make it anymore. I still have it. But if you don't have that, you can mix up just some glue and some PVA glue, I should say, a little bit of sand, and you got yourself some texture. And then when this dries, you're going to have like a little bit of gritty texture onto it. More depth to what we're painting here. And let's go to the back. Check out the back if there's any parts that we can put here. Yeah, maybe a little bit here. So we're just going to leave this dry. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to paint some veins onto the skin first before we do anything else.
And the veining color that I picked is, it's a Speed Paint 2.0. I just got the Speed Paint 2.0 just recently. It's a vivid bluish green. So I'm thinking that's gonna fit pretty contrasty over the dotted purple skin so far. So we're going to do that. I just understand with these, you gotta really make sure you shake them, shake them, shake them. So we're gonna mix some of the vein color in here. We don't need a lot because it's only one miniature. Speed Paint medium, right here, right on camera. Oh, that's embarrassing. All right, so this is kind of like our skin range. If you can see, it's kind of out of focus. And then we have like the metals and the black and like your effects and that of stuff that I'm going to try to use. But this vein color, I just want it to be a little watered down. This is a Zero. It's an army painter brush. I think it's a Zero, if I'm not mistaken. But it's a really fine detail brush, that's all I'm saying. And we're gonna have to try to be very gentle here and try to paint veins. Why when I'm painting veins? And this is just the undertone so far. Some of this is not even gonna show through, but some is. It's not bad. I don't wanna overdo it with the veins. Crusader skin, another Army Painter Speed Paint 2.0. Gonna do it on skin, but we're gonna create more of like a wash, a very light skin tone. I know this Army Painter Speed Paint is also like already like a wash, but I want it to be even lighter, so it's gonna show some of that veining and speckling through. Again, ratio for this, I don't know, I dropped a lot into it, but I would say probably about 4-to-1 mixture, 3-to-1. I'm just going to keep with this brush. Gillen Flesh, next, straight out of the pot. Still just trying to flesh them out. Put it on and then just lift it off in spots. While everything's drying, we're gonna do some Forest Sprite. It is a green, yellowish green, I should say. Speed Paint 2.0. We are not diluting this at all. Straight. This is just for his pants. Green is dark enough. I'm not worried too much about it. At this point, you don't have to be very careful with anything because what we're going to be doing is going over it with the wash, which is going to tie a lot of this color together. Speed Painter 2.0. Satchel Brown. I'm going to paint all of the gun parts that are going to be wood. Okay, you don't have to be too perfect on this part because, and I notice he has some inner parts in here that we're going to paint with the Satchel Brown. Kind of like leather strapping. Gunmetal. You gotta start being careful. You don't want to get this on any of the skin and anything. Don't paint what you can't see. Just remember, I'm not a professional painter. See, now when I'm painting over where I did the texture stuff, you can see it's popping out. As you can tell, I just jump around the miniature. I'm just stick with one color or one spot. If I wanted the paint to be smoother, the silver, use a little bit of water, mixed it in with the paint. But I want it to be rough. Zealot Yellow. All of the silver, paint it with Grim Black. 50-50. Plywood flesh, and the ratio is probably like 1-to-3 to make it more of a glaze. It's still dead flesh color I'm trying to attempt, but more of a fresher dead flesh. A lot of times it was all just, instead of like painting back and forth and that, it's more just kind of stippling. So you can keep that underlying freckle base that we originally put on. Oh, his skin is hurting me as it is. Oh, it looks sore. You're just slowly building up the layers. Not a professional painter by no means. Now that our skin is done to the point I'm happy with, before I apply the wash, I totally forgot that I wanted to put a wash onto it. And you can see we repainted the silver and everything, so it looks, it's turning out pretty good, I think, so far. I really like the way the skin is. It's all muted and, you know, like dead or abused skin. Really abused skin too as well. Yeah, I'm really liking that. So anyhow, because he's going to be part of my warband, I already created and painted the sniper priest, you can see here. his main color, it's like a magenta, I guess. It's a pink, but I think it's more of a magenta because it's familiar pink. So that's what I painted his cloak with. Because of that, we're going to do some color scheme on him to match him. And the primary color is going to be like that magenta color, I think. So that's what we're going to put on some of the armor over top. Hopefully it's going to work. If not, then we'll have to figure out another way. We're going to try it anyhow. So now I already got the black and silver, so I'm going to put it over it and see if that magenta is going to show through over the silver. We still got to put a wash over it too as well, just maybe a little bit of remnants of the color onto it. And you can see the texture that we originally put way back when. Slaughter Red, Speed Paint 2.0. While the pads are drying, we're going to put it up here on the helmet. But I'm not going to do this part red. I'll just leave the two side things red. Leg protectors or shield things or something. But I'll leave that part like that. Then we're going to on to the next part. Monster Brown. With only one coat, letting the black kind of show through a bit to give it more of a chartish. All these colors I'm picking are just as we go along. What looks right or feels right and adjusting accordingly. No big plan. You never know what you're going to be able to get. We could use a bigger brush to make this go quicker too, but why? Don't forget, like, subscribe, share, watch, and watch more to bring up the watch time. Next, we're going to paint the ground cover, but remember there's the foam in there that signify the rocks that are going to be a different color. We're going to be using whole red, and that's because all my other miniature bases are being painted the same color of whole red, and I want to keep the consistency there. Really like how the ground cover turned out. Super textury. Painted the rocks, you can see. Oops. And I painted it with English Gray by AK Interactive. We got Beowulf Blue. 2 parts to that, I would say. And I mixed up probably about 8 parts of the medium, so it is super watered down. And only the skin. We want to avoid any of the metal. This is probably about the only thing that I planned. You can see where the blue, and when this dries, it's going to be just pale, but it's going to be blue enough so that you can see it has a blue cast to the skin. And it just helps with the selling of the flesh, the way I painted it, help with some of the screw-ups that I did onto it. Which I'm not going to say the screw-ups are, because if you can point them out, great. If you can't, then I am not saying where they are. So we're going to take this and we're going to throw it over everything except for the base. It's an executive decision. Didn't intend to put it on any of the metal, but it got on it by accident and it looked good, so it's like, hey, we're going to do that. That is the blue wash done for now. Next wash, while this blue is drying, we are going to just do the base, and we're going to do Agrax Earth Shade. Shake this shade up really good. It's not watered down one bit. This is just straight out of the pot. Going all over the base. And when I say on the base, I mean the rocks, the wood. And I am not taking it lightly with this. I'm slathering it on. And when this is done, we got to leave it dry, because this wash takes a while to dry. May throw another blue wash on top of the skin. I like the blue that it turned out, but I think it could be a little bluer. You don't have to paint yours this way. You can just paint whatever you want. This is just like a watch me paint and ramble. Just waiting game day of this to dry. You know I don't like waiting for paint to dry or anything, but I will certainly wait for this to dry. Wash is all dry. You can see the bluish tinge onto his skin. Start off with a little bit of silver just to accentuate this helmet, to bring that out a little bit more, because we did do the red. We're going to put some silver and everything in, and onto his gun too as well. We're going to highlight the wood onto the gun. We're going to start off with the metal, and we're going to use the same metal color that we used before, which is the gunmetal by AK Interactive. Add some highlights. And again, we're just picking out certain things selectively and just highlighting. Now we're going to be doing metal portholes, but You're going to think it don't make sense what I'm doing because I'm going to be putting other effect color over top of it, but I still want the shininess to show through. I'm going to do the gold retribution armor. We're going to just touch up the shelf. It's not too shabby there. We'll highlight the base by doing some dry brushing, and we are going to be using that color. Overly doing the highlighting too much because I know I'm going to be putting on like the mud effects from AK. These things here. We use another dry brush, and we're using desert yellow. Not bad. Not bad at all. One of my favorite things I've discovered was crusted swords from Army Painters. I really like the color of this, and we're going to take the swords and we're just going to put it in the metal parts onto his body, that the orifices that are opening up for some reason. I don't know. You can see there, crusted swords. Need a little indents on the skin that I could pull off as, oh, a cut or something. There's not really many on here. It's actually looking really good the way it is. Next, we are going to do some barbed wire, and we're doing it around there. I made this barbed wire out of floral wire, and I just twisted it together on a drill to make it nice and tight. This floral wire is a little bit more rigid. So the bendability is there, but it's not as flexible and bendable as other wire. You have to really kind of work it. And we are going to use the really cheap super glue. And we're probably going to be using a little bit of baking soda too as well, so that we can get the metal to stick better. Because we previously drilled holes. See, this is the difficult part of doing this, not breaking the wood or popping the miniature off. That's good like that. Take the other one and do the same to it. I needed my two hands. I know my camera set up, but I had to flip it around, change angles, and you wouldn't have been able to see how I maneuver this because my big hands blocked it. So I did it off camera. We're not done yet though, because we still add a little bit of, we're gonna add a little bit of blood and mud to it too as well. So I love the way this is turning out. Again, this is one of my favorite poses out of all of the miniatures. Continuing on, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add some mud. This is AK Spatter Effects mud. It's diorama. I love AK's effect stuff. You can make your own if you don't have it by just mixing up some, high gloss Liquitex varnish into your PVA and sand mix, and that will give it a kind of a muddy look too as well. And then obviously your colors. Just gonna go around and add some mud effects. Remember, you're gonna have mud. This is a trench. You're gonna have mud all over the place. It's inevitable. Not covering up all the detail because you do need to have some detail in there. And we are going to add blood for the blood god. And then after that, we may just add a little bit of rust for the rust god. I'm using my cheap old brush here with the blood stuff for the blood, because not that it'll ruin your brush, but I just prefer not to take that chance. So you can put it as little or as much as you want on this. But me and blood, I love blood. And usually less is more, but more is better. You know what I mean? Not waiting till anything is dry, just continuing on. I suggest you don't do that. You actually wait till stuff to dry before you continue on. But we're gonna put some medium rust from AK Interactive now. We're gonna start adding that into the paint. It's an orangish brown color. I do like the color of this. And you can see I'm using a big brush here. Add a little bit of rust where some rust should be. And I'm kind of putting it over the texture that we originally put on there. Just to add a little bit of the rust to it, I should say. So his gun, you don't want his gun to be rusted because you got to keep that in pristine shape as much as you can, because without his weapon, he's not that good. And just adding some rust. Just to give it a little bit of a pop or interesting tonal value. This episode, we're going to add some blood for the blood gods into the little holes that he has. I guess he was hooked up to a machine. That's how they fed him. I don't know. You can see I'm just putting little bits. Like I don't want it to be too overpowered. And again, I'm using a very, very fine detailed brush for this part. And to finish it all off, we are going to use some black AK Interactive Paint, and we're just painting around the base. The rim of the base, I should say, and one other step after that, which you're not going to see on camera because it's not necessary, and that is just to seal all of your miniature by using a clear matte sealer. And next is some beauty glamour shots, finally. Woohoo!